Hey, welcome back to the channel. Jeff Nelson here. In this video, I'm talking about something a little different. Unfortunately, this is a topic that needs to be addressed, and frankly, one I never thought I would have to talk about in connection with being vegan, and that is vasectomy, or having a vasectomy. The idea has somehow developed in vegan social media that there's a connection between getting a vasectomy and veganism. And before we go further, let's talk about what veganism means. Basically, it means not consuming animals and trying not to use or otherwise exploit animals. So it's about eating a vegan diet primarily, and then doing the best you can not to contribute to animal suffering. So what's vasectomy? Vasectomy is sterilization. It's a surgical procedure that seals off tubes in your body so that sperm are blocked off and can't leave your body to cause pregnancy. Now, I haven't come across any definition of veganism that says to be vegan, you must sterilize yourself. But there are a number of different vegan channels out there where the hosts talk about having gotten a vasectomy, and some even trying to suggest that it was sort of, a noble thing to do because they don't think people should be bringing children into the world, and because by not raising kids, now they have more time to spend helping animals by making videos on YouTube.
Being able to have time to spread the vegan message to a wider audience, such as via YouTube videos and other social media avenues.
It's not to say that you can't do that with kids,
but
you have so much more time.
That's right.
And energy. So this is really our passion, and yeah, we just didn't think that the world needed more children.
These people don't want to have children, and that's fine. That's their personal choice. The idea of not having children allowing you to make more vegan YouTube videos, okay, sure. The idea that a choice around vasectomies is somehow related to veganism or the animals, that I do not personally buy. To me, people trying to conflate veganism and vasectomy are kind of silly. You want to have kids? Great, have kids. You don't want to have kids? Great, don't have kids. But it's not part of veganism, and someone isn't a saint because they decide to have or not to have children. That's a personal decision that has zero to do with veganism, and the attempt to conflate having kids with something to do with veganism is a little offensive. Unfortunately, the connection of vasectomy to veganism contributes to the appearance that vegans are kooks, that they're part of a cult, that they're weird or self-important, and I would agree. Certain vegans can be weird as f***. That's because, to me, it's weird and cult-like to connect the desire to have a family or not with being vegan. One of the terrible things that they do in cults is to try to control the sexual behavior of people, like who you can have sex with, whether or not you can have kids, and reproductive control over another human being is quite possibly the ultimate in control that you can have over someone. So I think it is a valid criticism of vegan social media that those vegans who are promoting vasectomies as being vegan, that they are sort of beyond the fringe and beyond the pale. The vasectomy aberration, that's something that has been going on for a while now in vegan YouTube. So why am I thinking about it today? Well, someone sent me this clip the other day that I'm about to show you. It's from a channel called Hannah Mania, Hannah looks like a very nice person, and she and her boyfriend, or maybe it's her former boyfriend, Jason, are interviewing Dr. Michael Greger, who's a social media personality. I'm going to play the whole clip without interruption and then go back and dissect it a little bit.
And what vegan birth control method would you recommend?
Vasectomy.
Hell yeah, baby, you heard him.
Well, get on board. Come on.
Yes,
what do you
I
mean?
love this guy.
Why should the women have to take pills?
No. I don't want them to take any pills.
All right.
I'm not for that at all.
Okay, well, for cost?
Yeah.
For the environmental?
Yeah.
I mean, what's the downside?
Some people want to have kids eventually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. What would you do then?
Okay, well, yeah, then yeah, it's probably not good. Then that's not the best solution.
Any other alternatives?
So you have kids and then you do it.
All right.
The biggest question we got.
So this is Dr. Greger talking to a couple in their early 20s in a video being watched probably by teenagers and other vegans in their 20s. Dr. Greger probably doesn't really know much about this couple who is interviewing him, and I'm struck by just how quickly and easily Dr. Greger jumps into promoting sterilization somehow as a method that he deems to be vegan birth control. It's not birth control, it's sterilization, it's ending your ability to have children. And his attitude, to me, seems incredibly flippant, and it advances this false notion that vegans should be planning to sterilize themselves, according to Dr. Greger. She asks about vegan birth control. His answer is sterilization. Hannah does not seem to be asking, what's the best vegan method to sterilize someone. She probably wants to know what is a healthy form of birth control that doesn't contain animal products, that isn't tested on animals.
And what vegan birth control method would you recommend?
Vasectomy.
Hell yeah!
So again, Dr. Greger was quick to come out with recommending vasectomy. He's a medical doctor, but not a urologist. This is not his specialty. Having a vasectomy is a surgical procedure which may or may not have serious side effects.
You heard him!
Well, get on board. Come on.
So he's pressuring Jason here. Look how quickly he tells this guy in his early 20s to get a vasectomy. This is a medical doctor glibly and flippantly pressuring a young guy. Come on, get with it.
What do you
I love
mean?
this guy.
Why should the women have to take pills?
No. I don't want them to take
surgery?
any pills.
All right.
I'm not for that at all.
Okay.
He's saying, why should the women take pills or surgery? And Jason feels the need to sort of defend himself, saying that he didn't say that. I'm not for that at all, he says. And then Dr. Greger starts with the hard sell.
Well, for cost,
Yeah.
for the environmental.
Yeah.
I mean, what's the downside?
Dr. Greger enumerates his arguments for sterilization, the cost, the environmental, and there's some sort of, vegan idea in there that vegans need to consider environmental reasons for sterilizing yourself.
Some people want to have kids eventually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. What would
All
you do
right.
then?
Okay, well, yeah, then, yeah, it's probably not good. Then that's not the best solution.
Any other alternatives?
So you have kids and then you do it.
All right.
The biggest question
So Jason says, maybe he would want to have kids eventually, and Dr. Greger seems almost disappointed. It's sort of, he wasn't thinking of that. Having kids, I thought you said you were vegan. There's sort of this implication. He ends up admitting, Dr. Greger, that, okay, it's not good birth control if you want to have kids someday, but he's even still pushing vasectomy. We'll have your kids and then get a vasectomy. But he's got no answer for vegan birth control other than vasectomy, at least in this video that I watched. And this is a doctor who strongly associates himself with being vegan. He has a website, veganmd.com. This was his website for many years. I hosted it for him on my server. This is a vegan MD telling kids vasectomy is the vegan thing to do. Oh, you're thinking of having kids? Really? Oh. It's sort of like, is having kids vegan? I didn't, you were actually thinking about that? So this is kind of simplistic thinking to me, and it's irresponsible. And this kind of flippant advice has the potential to damage people. I've got a friend, a wonderful guy who is vegan. He's a YouTuber for many years. His name is Derek Howlett. He decided in his mid-20s in 2014 to get a vasectomy. Like a number of vegans who get vasectomies, he wanted to talk about his decision to have a vasectomy on a YouTube video.
I've basically come to the conclusion that basically in the state of the world that we have right now, in terms of the school system, the media, the food supply, I really don't want to have any more children in this world. And the second thing that people have been saying to me is that, hey, what if you find the perfect girl? What if you find the perfect girl for you and she wants to have children with you? The perfect girl for me would not want to have biological children with me. She'd be fine with adopting.
I never ever thought that we would have our own children when we met and we got married. Like,
yeah,
I
didn't think so either.
I didn't even know you could get a vasectomy reversal until we moved to Tucson and saw the clinic here. Whereas now I feel like it really is like the biggest dream of my life.
Yeah.
Now I want kids so badly that I just couldn't imagine not having them.
The idea of having a family and raising our own children has really become so much more kind of like fascinating to us, or we've been so much more attracted to it.
What a difference 4 years can make. What seemed to make sense to Derek when he was in his 20s, 4 or 5 years later now, it seems like maybe he made a mistake. Derek recently had his vasectomy reversed. It hasn't completely reversed yet. He's seen a number of different experts to try and figure out what's going on.
My brain is basically sending a signal down there to produce sperm. But for some reason, over the last 3 or 4 sperm tests that I've had, I haven't actually produced anything. So we're not exactly sure why that's happening. It could be because I've had a vasectomy for a while. So at this point, we're just going to play the waiting game.
So Derek and Hannah, they're playing the waiting game, hoping his vasectomy ultimately will be fully reversed and then they can get pregnant. But what happens if ultimately things don't come back and they can't get pregnant?
So the first obvious thing that we would do is probably go towards adoption and just adopt a child at that point. A vasectomy reversal is quite an expensive. I think it was around $8,000 to get it reversed. Even going through the adoption process, it would be actually quite cheaper than going and adopting.
Spending $8,000 to reverse his vasectomy is a lot cheaper than the alternatives that are out there. Sometimes people have a vasectomy with the idea that, hey, there's lots of kids out there who need parents. We should have no problem adopting a kid. But this is not what Hannah and Derek are actually finding.
When we looked at adoption, it is really expensive. Like it's not like you just go there and you get a baby, right? Like it can be between $30,000 to $40,000.
And it can take years. If we're open to having 2 or 3 children, like creating space for them, and we couldn't have our own kids, then we would definitely adopt. But we were like, it'd be cheaper and faster, and we don't even know. I highly doubt that we would even be approved to be a foster family.
Now, there are a number of vegan channels out there sort of celebrating vasectomy. There are even a couple of videos I saw recently where women are celebrating the fact that they pushed their boyfriend to get a vasectomy. And in at least one case, the boyfriend wasn't even 20 years old.
Like, I understand where the women are coming from, and that like a vasectomy is a much easier procedure than maybe a woman having her tubes tied. But I think there's much safer alternatives. So I follow Carly Taylor and James Aspey, and they talk about, natural ways of preventative birth control, right? Rather than just using the pill. So I think, trying to gravitate towards a more safer solution. So I think, waiting and using some preventative measures is good, but I don't think that women should be coercing their boyfriends into having a vasectomy. You're essentially mutilating yourself. And, that's how Hannah and I even talk about it. It's like, I possibly mutilated myself twice. So having the vasectomy and having the vasectomy reversal. So I think it's just safer just to not have it, and then, use condoms. There's much other, and plus using other safer ways of preventing an unwanted pregnancy.
I want to thank Derek for taking the time to discuss vasectomies with me. I'm going to link to his YouTube channel down below in the description. Check it out. He's got some great content, and so does his wife, Carb Hannah. Okay, so my opinion is that the idea of connecting vasectomy and veganism is wrong, and the somewhat coercive aspect in some of these videos of people, getting their boyfriends to do it, to me is kind of horrifying. Getting a vasectomy has absolutely zero to do with being vegan. A vasectomy is a personal choice. If you're in your teens or your 20s and you haven't had kids and you're thinking about a vasectomy, my advice would be to wait. You can find lots of videos on YouTube about people who regretted having a vasectomy. So, check those out and see what they have to say as well. If you have a vasectomy and you later regret it and you try to change it, just know that it's potentially very expensive, $8,000. And in addition to, whatever pain and discomfort you put yourself through, and it might not work. Okay, so I really want to know what you think. I've added a poll right there, and click on the poll and tell me, is there a connection between vasectomy and veganism? What do you think? So my main point is that there's just no relationship between vasectomy and being a vegan. I think it's irresponsible and even offensive to suggest otherwise. You don't have to be sterile to be a vegan. You just have to eat plants. Okay, that's this week's video. Please give it a like if you do like it. Please share your comments. I'd love to know what you think down below. I'll answer questions if I can as they come up, and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks a lot.